Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the VSPN Valcrest Sports Show. This is Tio speaking. Next to me, we got Simply.
Hello, everyone. Tio, are you not holding a piece of paper? Like, I feel like you
Oh
memorized
my
this, and
lord,
I have to have a piece of paper because you're just
my
I don't know.
lord. Yeah, what man? Where's my script? Forgive my bad manners. Hold on here. Okay. Script's ready. All right, here we go. So, today is going to be a very exciting episode because today, we've got the May Valcrest Town Tournament coming up. And because of that, we decided that it's a great time to teach everyone how the town tournament works. What we found recently is that a lot of people don't fully understand how it works, and there's a lot of new towns that have just recently entered the tournament, and we have a lot of stuff coming up this month. And so, anyway, we thought it'd be a good time to kind of go over the town tournament and teach you guys in depth how it works. And not only that, but later on this week, we're going to do another follow up video where we talk about some tips, tricks, and strategies to help your town do well in the Valcrest Town Tournament. All right, cool. So, here's how the town tournament works in a nutshell. Okay, so in a nutshell, in the town tournament, towns are going to be competing for four different factors. Okay, you're going to be competing for a top rank in these factors. The factors include economy, culture, military, and size. Okay, so now, not all of those factors are created equal. Economy, culture, and military are the three main ones, whereas size is the fourth sort of a subcategory, but it is important because it acts as the universal tiebreaker. Now, economy is worth a grand total of 5 points, culture is worth 5 points, military is worth 5 points, and size is worth 3 points. What this means is that if you get first place in economy, then you get 5 points. If you get second place in economy, then you get 4 points. If you get third place in economy, you get 3 points. So on and so forth until you're below fifth place, in which case you don't get any points. Okay? The same goes with culture. The same goes with military. However, with size, in order to get any points for size, you have to score in the top three because it's only worth 3 points. So in the case of size, if you were to win size, then you would get 3 points. If you got second place, you would get 2 points. If you got third place, you would get just 1 point. So the winner of the tournament is the person who gets the most points overall when you combined all four of these factors. And in the event that any one town is to tie in any one of these factors, or let's say within these factors any of their scores tie up, then size is the universal tiebreaker for all of them. So the bigger town will get the victory should there be any ties. So,
And ties do happen,
oh yeah,
so you want to make sure you have a good score in size.
for sure. So now simply, let's go ahead, let's start talking specifically about how to do good in these factors. And I think, of the four factors, economy is probably the most complicated one. And you know a lot about economy. You understand it very well. So why don't you go ahead and tell them some more about economy?
Yes, economy. Now, economy, for me at least, was very confusing and complex at first. However, once I begun to understand it, which doesn't take long at all, it is actually pretty simple. So, the way economy works is that it's a three part equation. Now, part one is your town total wealth. Your town total wealth is measured by the total amount of wealth the town has. The next thing is I can't talk right now. Is it's divided by the amount of citizens in your town. So basically, you take your total amount of wealth and divide it by the amount of citizens in your town. Now, to finish off the equation, you multiply that number by the average rank tier, which is the combined average rank tier of all the town's citizens. And after you do that, there you go. That's your economy score. So let me explain each category for you. The town total wealth, as I said before, is the total amount of wealth the town has. Now, to calculate it, you take the value of all your town's plots, the amount it costs to start the town, the amount it costs to set all your town outposts if you have any, which is 10,000 apiece. Now, on the other side, if you have a nation, you also take the amount it takes to start a nation, along with your nation bank, and of course your town bank too. And to top it all off, you take all of the money in your citizens' personal balances and add it to that. So after all of that stuff, you have your total town wealth. Now, after you do that, you divide it by the number of citizens you have in town. So let's say you have 15 citizens in your town. You divide it by 15. Pretty simple, right? And to top it all off, you take that divided number and multiply it by the average rank tier. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys are very familiar with the ranks and stuff, so I'll make it pretty simple. Let's say that you have a tier 2, a tier 3, and a tier 1 rank in your town. Now, you would add all of those together, so you get 6, and you divide it by the amount of citizens, which is 3. So you'd come out with a multiplier of 2. So you take your town total wealth after it was divided by the amount of citizens in your town and multiply it by 2, which was your average rank tier, and that's your economy score.
Excellent. So now there's just a few things I want to add to that. When you do the wealth, the score is measured in Ks. So if someone has $5,000 in their bank, for example, we call that 5K. And so the town total wealth score should be a number measured in Ks. Let's say that the town total wealth is $1,000,000. Well, $1,000,000 is 1,000K, right? So in that case, it would be 1,000, okay, divided by the number of citizens. So let's say that it has 15 citizens. You do 1,000 divided by 15. For simplicity, we'll just say 10, right? So now you've got a number of 100, right? That's your wealth per citizen. You would then multiply your wealth per citizen, which in this case is 100, by your average tier rank in your town. So let's imagine that, like in Simply's example, that's 2. In this case, it'd be 100 times 2, which would be an economy score of 200. So that's what it would actually look like in the real thing here. So yeah, just kind of as one last simple summary before we move on to the next factor. Economy is very simple. Simply, he explained it as being a three-part equation. I'd honestly narrow it down as being a two-part equation. It is your wealth per citizen multiplied by your average tier rank. So that's really all it is. And again, to get your wealth per citizen, you just determine what your town total wealth is and divide that number by the number of citizens in your town. So,
Couldn't have explained that better myself.
cool. Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and move on. So the next one is culture. So culture is a lot less complex than economy. At the end of each month, at a random time that people won't know about, we're going to basically hire a anonymous group of 12 to 16 players who are not in towns that are participating in the tournament, to basically silently go out and look at all the towns that are in the tournament and rate those towns on a scale of 1 to 10 for how nice they look. Now, there was a change recently made to this one. We used to do it to where there was like a theme that the towns are supposed to follow, and when they the better they do at that theme, the better they get on culture. This is usually some kind of a seasonal one. We got rid of that. So nowadays, all it is just based on how nice your town looks, okay? And again, this committee is going to give you a score on a scale of 1 to 10. And once we get all the scores in for each town, we're simply going to take the totals, and the towns that get the highest totals will win culture. Now, it's not too uncommon to see towns tie up on this. And when that happens, again, going back to what we talked about earlier, size is the factor that will be the tiebreaker. So if you've got two towns with, let's say a score of, hypothetically 75, Okay, the town that has the higher size score will win. So culture is pretty simple. We'll simply rank them according to that, and then first place gets 5 points toward the tournament overall. Second gets four. Third gets three. So on and so forth. And yeah, it's really that simple. Now, simply, the next big factor is military. Now, a lot of us already have a pretty good understanding of how the military works, but why don't you go ahead and explain that to them in further detail, simply?
Now, military is the one thing in the town tournament. I'm not saying it's the only thing you can brag about, but I mean it's a pretty big deal as we've already seen so far. I mean, just looking at April, we've had a ton of upsets, and when you win, it's amazing. Like everyone's cheering you on and stuff, but when you lose, it's kind of sad. I mean, I lost, so I'm actually kind of disappointed. But anyways, that's besides the point. So how military works is that all the towns that have signed up for the month will be entered into a huge bracket of all the towns. And basically, what happens is each week, probably during the weekend, you'll be fighting against the town that you match up for this round. So, for instance, in the first round, let's use a real example. We had Coastborn versus Iceland. Sorry, Coastborn. I didn't mean to mispronounce it. So let's say Iceland wins. They would move on to the second round, and unfortunately, Coastborn would be out of the tournament for the PvP portion. Now, this is how it works. So, yes, you have all of your battles going on throughout the month, and how this works is that you're supposed to bring your own gear to the fight, and we won't provide any kits. I mean, we're playing for keeps, or I mean, if they want to give their items back, that's cool too. But it's you can die, you lose all your levels, you get nothing back from us.
It's the
So
real deal.
yeah, it's a really big deal.
Real quick,
Oh,
simply, I just want to add in a kind of a quick tangent on that. Some people ask me, why do we provide kits for the 1v1s but not for the town tournament? The reason for that is because we believe that gear selection is part of the strategy for a town tournament. We also believe that while the 1v1s should be a casual weekly thing, the town tournament should be a very serious measure of how good that town is doing. So towns that are able to produce higher quality gear and are willing to risk that higher quality gear most likely have a better economy and have better players and so on and so forth. And so that's why we made it so that you have to provide your own gear. We see the ability to be able to bring that gear and take that risk as a measure of the quality of a town. So anyway, go ahead and continue simply.
so when you go to your battle, yes, you need to bring your own gear, and you can bring up to 5 fighters. Now, you don't have to bring 5 fighters if you don't want to, and we've seen towns do that so far. But you can only have a maximum of 5 fighters because we want to keep it as fair as possible. And having more than five, well, I gotta say, our battles might never end, especially the high quality ones where especially when we saw the Skyforge versus Iceland one that lasted 25 minutes. Well, imagine if there was 10, 15 fighters in that battle. I don't think we'd ever end. So you can only bring 5 fighters. Now, two of those fighters can be mercenaries. Now, what a mercenary is a player from another town. Now, they actually have to be in your town for the fight. However, they can go back to their hometown right after that. And now this is only 2 mercenaries per tournament, not per battle. So basically, if you hire 2 mercenaries week one, you can't hire any more until the next tourney starts. So, for instance, if you hired me and Tio as your mercenaries, we fight for you week one, and we don't want to fight for you anytime else, then you got to get your hometown members to fight. Um, and mercenaries, you can probably make some money off of that. I'm gonna tell you that now. So it's good to be a mercenary, but you got to represent your town colors. But mercenaries are defined as players who joined town A, coming from town B. So coming from Skyforge to Coastborn. And they're also considered to have lived in town A for less than 2 weeks. So if you have one of your friends that doesn't play on the server, that joins, uh, let's say the day before they joined one town, and then they switch over to your town to fight, considered a mercenary. So sorry. Um, all players within this town tournament, including the mercenaries, can only fight for one town per tournament. There's no town hopping to make as much money as possible and help towns you like win. It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry, but it makes sense. So basically, all towns are required to participate in the military portion of the tournament in order to compete in the town tournament. If you don't show up to your battle, I'm sorry, but you're disqualified from the entire town tournament. And that's also if you don't show up to your battles. Now, we got to find a good time to do your battles and stuff like that because I mean, if you miss it and we've tried to help you out, there's nothing we can do at that point. So, in a nutshell, that's military.
And a few things I just want to add to that. So the first is this: there's a new change that's going to take effect with the May Town Tournament, and that's that if two towns who are scheduled to fight each other, if neither town can come up with a good time that lines up with the other town, then it's going to default to a Saturday time, probably in the evening. So the most default time is Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern. However, if that time is already taken, then we'll begin working, below that first. If we can't go earlier than that, then we'll start going later than that. But you'll end up with some kind of a Saturday battle schedule. Should two towns simply not have any time that really works out for them. Another thing worth mentioning about the military portion of the tournament is that it's pretty obvious how we determine first and second place, right? First place is the town that wins the town tournament final. Second place is the town that loses the town tournament final. But then you've got the semifinalists, and going into the future, we're going to have the semifinalists battle, and the winner of that battle gets third, the loser gets fourth, and then for fifth place, we're going to have a sub-tournament as well with the quarterfinalists, where basically the quarterfinalists have their, like the ones who lost, have their own sort of mini tournament to determine who gets fifth place in the tournament overall. We didn't do that for the April tournament, but we do plan to do that going forward.
So basically, if you lose in the quarterfinals, you're not out. That you can still battle for fifth place and get that 1 point. And trust me, 1 point makes more of a difference than no points do.
Oh yeah, every point absolutely counts. So cool. Well, let's go ahead and move on here. The last factor is size. Size is a super easy thing to figure out. Size is based on how many players are in your town, multiplied by how many plots your town owns. So the more plots you have and the more players you have, the higher you score in size. It's really just that simple. So yeah, so simply
Wow, that really was simple.
yeah, it doesn't really get any more simple than size. Now, simply, why don't you explain to us how the tournament works overall? Like how does it work with, how do you win the tournament? How would you get second place in the tournament? So on and so forth.
So basically, how you win the town tournament, pretty big question, and everyone wants to know. So basically, as we stated earlier, that each category of the town tournament has a point value. Economy, culture, and military, both being 5 points max for winning each, and size, a max of 3. So, what do you do with all these points? Well, it's overall points. So, let's say, for instance, you finish first in military, fourth in economy, third in culture. Here we go. So, basically, military, you finish first. That's 5 points. In economy, you finish fourth, not bad, 2 points. And in culture, you finish third, so you get 3 points for a total of 10 points. Now, to win the town tournament, you want to have the highest overall point total. So, for instance, let's say you scored 15 points and you ended up winning the town tournament. Congrats. Now, how we find second, third, fourth, and fifth, we go from the top down. So, let's say second place, you scored 11 points, third is 10, fourth is 10, and fifth is 9. Now, how do we determine who came in third and fourth, even though they both have 10 points? It all comes back to size. How you do in size determines if you get a higher standing than the last town. So, being the, bigger sized town, you have the advantage. And that's how overall points work.
Awesome. Now, one last thing worth mentioning is there are a lot of prizes that can be earned from the town tournament, okay? So, for prizes, we give prizes to the top 5 winners overall. The way that works is usually first place is going to be an extremely beefy prize where the mayor, the town, and all the citizens get their own unique set of prizes, right? Um, then, second place is still going to be pretty beefy, not quite as much as first. By third place, you're looking at more of a moderate prize. And then after that, fourth and fifth, pretty small prizes, but pretty cool. Now, everyone who participates does get some small prize just for participating. You're going to get a minimum of 10 bonus plots plus 2,500 bucks just for participating in the tournament. Okay, so everyone who participates is going to get some kind of reward. Now, there's also a variety of other rewards that you can get as well. The first is the Rookie Town of the Month award. That one is also very beefy. In order to be considered a Rookie Town, it has to be your very first month in the tournament. And the way you score in Rookie Town overall is the same as you score in the town tournament overall, except you're competing against other Rookie Towns. So let's imagine that as a Rookie Town, you get third place in economy, fourth place in culture, and third place in size, right? So in that case, you would have, what would that be?
6 points.
Yeah, 6 points. So if you had 6 points, if that was the most amount of points that any of the rookie towns got, then you would be the top rookie town that month and you would get the Rookie Town of the Month award. Now, something worth mentioning is most of these prizes, including the Rookie Town of the Month award, are going to come with trophies and are going to have a place in our Hall of Fame. So that's another really cool benefit. You get a custom-made lore-titled trophy block that is one of a kind, cannot be copied or remade, and you're actually going to get one of those that you can hang up in your town hall or wherever. You can hang it up in your house, doesn't matter. And on top of that, you're going to have your town's name placed in the Hall of Fame. So it's a pretty big deal. And
Trust me, you want to get into the Hall of Fame. That's where the best of the best are.
oh yeah,
Trust me, it's a big deal,
it's a lot
and
of
you'll
cool
find that out
exposure for your
soon.
town too. Like it's really cool just to have that. Now, something else that we totally forgot to mention here simply, but is definitely worth bringing up, is that the nations will now be able to
Ah,
participate in the tournament
yes.
as well.
The
So,
nations.
nations can register up to 3 towns per tournament, okay? And the way it works is very simple. Whatever place your nation, or sorry, your town gets, your nation is going to get that many points. Sorry, the inverse of that many points toward its nation score. So let's imagine, just totally hypothetical here. Let's imagine that there was a nation where you had, say, Coastborn, Iceland, and Dakara. Okay, let's imagine that in the tournament overall, Dakara got first, Iceland gets second, and Coastborn gets fifth. Okay, so in that case, Dakara would have gotten them 16 points if there were 16 people participating, right? Iceland would have gotten them 15 points, so that makes 31. And then Coastborn would have gotten them, what would that be? 11 points. So their overall points would be 42 points, right? So then if you had a couple different nations, the nation that gets the most points would get first. The one with the second most would get second, so on and so forth. So it's a pretty simple system. And so you guys know, the prizes for this month's nation tournament or sorry, the nation portion of the town tournament will be posted shortly, as well as the registration for that. So yeah, simply, is there anything else you think we should add to this?
There's a very, very important thing that we should mention.
What's that?
Tournament rules, because yes, there are some specific tournament rules that we have.
Yes, excellent. So yeah,
So
so simply, do you have? Are you currently reading the rules
I
right
am
now,
I
or
am currently there.
cool?
So basically, there are 9 rules for the town tournament. Now, the first one is probably the most important one. Participation in the town tournament is optional. You do not have to participate in the town tournament. Now, it is highly suggested that you do because you're not losing out on anything. You can only gain stuff from being in the tournament. But if you really don't want to be in the tournament, you don't have to. It's not a big deal. Now, the second one, which we kind of mentioned already, is if you cannot make it to your assigned battle, contact us in advance. Towns who do not show up for their assigned battles without notice will be disqualified from the tournament. You don't want to get disqualified, especially if it was just kind of like, oh, I forgot, dang it, can I be in the tournament? Sorry, you can't. The third rule is gapples, golden apples, invisibility potions, and pets are not allowed in the military portion of the town tournament because that could give people unfair advantages, and we don't want that. Like, for instance, you can have a town come in with everyone has a stack of golden apples and the other town has none. That's not very fair. I mean, wouldn't you say so, Tio?
Oh yeah, and there was a time when it actually used to be pretty much anything goes. And let me tell you what, it was really just a battle of who has the most gapples. Whichever town brought the most gapples to battle pretty much won, regardless of almost anything else. Same with like invisibility potions. Like they just created the whole entire thing. It created a very skillless PvP environment, and it wasn't very much fun to watch. It wasn't very much fun to participate in, and it's just kind of stupid.
Yeah.
So
Moving on to the fourth rule, and this is a very important rule too. No attempting to manipulate culture scores. Now, it's a possibility it could happen, and it's very easy to tell if someone is manipulating culture scores. Don't try it.
yep.
It's trust me, it's not worth it.
Those scores will just be thrown out anyway. It's totally obvious when people do that, and we'll throw out the scores, and the town will get in trouble. And or even if you try to cover it up, in the event that we find out about it, I'm not gonna lie. That's most of these violations, most of them can result in being DQ'd from the tournament, but a severe case of culture score manipulation could potentially result in a ban from the server, under certain circumstances. So just something to be aware of. It's something we take extremely seriously.
It's not worth it
Yep.
at all. Okay. Now that we got that out of the way, the fifth rule, which we already stated earlier, is towns may hire up to 2 mercenaries per tournament. I won't go into any detail there because we pretty much explained that one. And same with the next rule. Players may only fight for 1 town per tournament, which also includes mercenaries. Pretty simple stuff. The seventh rule is no using alts to fight for multiple towns in one tournament. Trust me, it's not hard to tell when someone is fighting for multiple towns in one tournament, especially because
And if you
it's
think you can hide your alts, I'm just going to tell you this. We have three different ways of confirming alts, and if one doesn't work, the other will. And I'm just going to put it this way. It's not very difficult to figure out if someone has alt or not. Like, if we suspect it, it's something we can confirm in about 10 minutes.
well, it's just kind of hard to hide PvP styles. I mean, most people have one main PvP style that they fight with. It's not hard to see if you're doing the same thing. Okay. Anyways, the next rule is towns may bring up to 5 players per battle. We already went over that. Oh, no big deal. And the ninth one, which I actually forgot to mention in economy, but towns must have a minimum of 10 players in order to score in economy. If you have less than 10 players, it's very easy to get a high economy score, especially if all of your players are rich. That's not really fun, so, 10 players is the minimum. And as Tio already stated, violating any of these rules may result in disqualification from the tourney, which can be lengthy. However, it also can be permanent, so do not violate the rules. I cannot stress that enough. And as he mentioned before, in severe cases, you can't get banned too. It's not worth it.
Yep. Now, I will be honest in saying, I mean, we were pretty intense about presenting a lot of that, but usually these rule violations are not a problem. There's only been a handful of times in the 2 years that I've been running these town tournaments that we've had to really deal with serious rule violations. But those are the rules, and there can be consequences. So yeah, cool. Well, here's the deal, guys. We're going to be doing that follow up video later this week, which is going to talk about some strategies and stuff and tips and tricks that you can use to better your town for the tournament. Okay, we're going to talk about everything from good ways to set yourself up for a culture victory, good ways to set yourself for economy victory, military size. We're going to even talk about ways to work with your members, how to be prepared, all kinds of stuff. So for that follow-up video, we want two things from you guys. First, if there's any questions that you're left with after watching this video, please post them below. And also, if you have any questions in regards to tips and tricks on how to win the tournament, if there's anything at all, whatever, doesn't matter, please post questions in the comment section below, whether it's on the video itself or in the thread that we post this in. We want to know what you guys want to know. So yeah. Do you have anything left, Simply?
Last but not least, I am super excited for May's Town Tournament. Let's get it started.
Awesome. Yeah, and you know what else? The April Town Tournament's not completely done yet. Totally worth mentioning here. Should have mentioned it earlier. This Friday, we're looking at, what is it? Friday the 5th, I want to say? 6th. Friday the 6th, 8:30 Eastern. Oh, God, I'm moving my camera here. 8:30 Eastern at Friday the 5th, okay? We're going to be hosting the town tournament final battle for April, and right after that is going to be the award ceremony. You guys are all going to want to be there because at the award ceremony, that's where you're going to get your prizes, okay? And it's going to be a totally awesome battle. This battle is set to explode, okay? This is going to be totally awesome. You won't want to miss it.
And last but not least, after the award ceremony, I don't know if any of you've seen this in Spawn. Kind of hidden, but there is a tavern in Spawn, and I will be serving drinks to everyone who wants some. So, you want to be here. It's a big event.
Awesome. Until next time. See you guys.
See you guys.